The following is a special news bulletin by TKFP News, presented by Everett Mann. Uproar today in the United Kingdom of London, England, where lager was talked about on the Kung Fu blogspot. We cross over live now to London, England, where our on-the-ground reporter, James St. John Smythe, brings us more. James.
Yes, hello, Everett. I can barely hear you. I'm here on the streets of London. It's pandemonium. It's chaos. There are riots. People are in uproar, running naked, cats and dogs thrown out of windows. It's amazing. The people are talking. They are talking about Laogar, and I am in the middle of it.
That's great news, James. Can you confirm before we go that no wushu was talked about? Was any wushu mentioned? I can confirm that no wushu, I repeat, no wushu was mentioned. This is, quite frankly, unbelievable. We are witnessing the birth of a new age. Back to studio. Thank you, James. That was James St. John Smythe, our reporter on the ground in the United Kingdom of London, England, where news has just broken that lager is being talked about on the Kung Fu blogspot. My name's Everett Mann. You're listening to TKFP News.
Not being able to speak is not the same as not speaking. You seem as if you like to talk. I like to let people talk who like to talk. It makes it easier to find out how full of shit they are.
What the hell did you just say?
You are the new student. Come closer.
You're listening to the Kung Fu Podcast presented by James Still.
Anybody who has some knowledge of Kung Fu can easily defeat you.
And Steve Newby.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
If you flash him, even for an instant, a defiant eye, he'll pluck it out. And if you throw any American sass his way, he'll snap your back and your neck like they were twigs.
So guys, welcome to the Kung Fu Podcast, episode 32, with me, James Still, and as ever, the Canadian Maple Leaf of Love, Sifu Stephen Newby. Okay, hey. I don't know what that meant, but we've got a good one for you today. Reasonably good. It's a bit, as good as it gets with us. So we're going to be discussing, as you heard on the news, Laogar was talked about in the Laogar Kung Fu blogspot. A miracle. And also, later on, we're going to be joined by one of Steve's long-term students from the USA, Mr. John Strangeway. So he's going to be talking to us, just a brief chat with him about how he's been coping, being in isolation. And I don't mean like the COVID. I just mean like, the Americans don't care about COVID, do they? I just mean like, being away from Laogar this long. So we'll be joining John a little bit later on. Anyway, right. Yeah. So as you've just heard, the special news bulletin by TKFP News, Laogar was actually discussed on the Kung Fu blogspot, on the Laogar Kung Fu blogspot, which I don't know about you, but I'm pretty chuffed with, because that's big.
Oh yeah, real pleased.
It lasted for all of about 48 hours, and then it kind of petered off and back to wushu. But we still got some Laogar on there, and I'm chuffed. and we had a pretty good response, I'd say. What do you think?
I'm out across the world.
Damn right.
Mm-hmm.
Damn straight. Yeah, it was a good response. We had some, good, great commentators. What is that? What you call them? Commentators, contributors to the thread?
Contributors. Yeah.
And
and I agree with a lot of it. It's great.
Yeah, it was great. Well, we'll get into that because it's been coined the debate by one of our listeners. I thought, oh, okay, all right. I didn't realise it was that much, but we had great fun, just thinking about it, and actually, I thought everybody who sent a comment in there was spot on, was really good, was really nice, and it's worth saying as well that we had 2 Guardians comment, but one of them's with me now.
Oh,
so you don't really count.
Oh, okay.
And the other one came on our podcast a while back, so of course he was good. But thank you to all the Guardians for contributing to the conversation. Appreciate that. Anyway.
Well, I just said it was a good thing that it's being talked about. I don't think I commented on the video, did I? So.
Well, you can comment on the video. What have you got to say about the video? Well,
no,
we're saying the video that was put on was by me, and it's basically I was highlighting common mistakes or misconceptions. I have to be very careful with using words. This is what I've learned. I have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So I'll just whatever. Common mistakes about the horse riding stance and punch. I was not doing the horse riding stance. I was just talking about the action of punching.
Yeah.
And I highlighted about 5 different things, and everybody, not everybody, the only thing that people picked up on to sort of comment about was, do we pull back our hand to the waist to train the punches? I said no. I said I don't, because, and we'll go into the reasons later on. And a lot of people said yes. And we it opened up a bit of a debate, which was great. And I
don't think you want to put a video on there where everyone's just going to agree, because they won't comment.
No, because and that's the problem with it. No one's doing it. No one puts videos on there. They always use the someone else to represent their sort of this is Lao Gar. Look, they do it in Tai Chi.
I'll make my comment that if you like, then.
Well, shall I make my comment first, and then you can comment to my comment?
Well, I should be commenting on your video.
But okay, all right, you comment on my video.
See, if you'd have just put out there that you do the most basic stuff, teaching beginners, just like everyone else, no one would have commented. You wouldn't have got the 2 comments. The basis of your example was the purpose and the end result, and theirs was the basis to teaching beginners. And I think we have discussed the fact that most beginners come from other martial arts nowadays. There's not that many. There's so much competition that there's not a huge amount of beginners in comparison. Statistically, in classes, there's an awful lot of people who have already done something, and they come along because they see something better, or they think that they'd like to try something different.
Yeah.
And so when they come, they've also got a lot of basics. So the premise to your, in my view, the premise to your kind of explanation about that position and punching exercise, and you were using the punching exercise and not necessarily the stance, but you were using the
stance. I was just talking punching.
Yeah.
But I was focusing primarily on the punching, not on the stance.
Yeah. So you were doing it for the end result, which is, your wants. That's what you like to do. You like to have a result. But their perception or their opinion was that it should be pulled right back to teach beginners, and that, and both elements for me, both are absolutely correct. And I also agree with the one that said, I think it was Rash, who said, primarily it is a horse riding stance, so therefore the horse stance is the exercise. I saw that, and I'd agree with him. But you were talking about the punches, so.
It's an interesting. Like, we had some great commentators. This guy called Gav, who teaches in Salisbury, brilliant. We had Rash, obviously, just put a chip in, and Joe, she chipped in as well, and thanks to everybody else who said, "Well done, mate. That's nice. I appreciate that." It still doesn't change the fact that friggin' wushu videos get more likes than Loud Rap. But thanks, people. No, but what I want to say is, you know, we've had this thing. We have this thing, and we'll talk about it because it is worth talking. It's a great subject. But we've always had this position where we don't like doing exercises for the sake of doing exercises, right? And we've talked about this before. Now, we recognise that you do exercises for the sake of doing exercises. Horse riding, stance and punch, take, for example.
But they're technical exercises.
Right.
And not physical exercises.
Right.
I kind of categorize them, if you like. Physical exercises are things like push-ups and, you know, stuff like that, stretching, all that kind of thing. I'm talking about exercises that are not primarily aimed at a specific technique.
You're talking body conditioning then.
Yeah, that's what I would call
body conditioning. Then you've got the technical
exercise.
Of the martial art, and obviously that can go in different directions.
Yeah, practical exercise.
Yeah,
using it.
Yeah, but there are some exercises that do not lend themselves well to what should we say, application in a fighting
like horse
scenario.
riding stance.
Right, like horse riding stance and punch.
Yeah. Well, the punch does. No one's going to stand there in a horse riding stance.
Yeah, but the way that I was illustrating that punch was a more applicable punch than the training punch. And I absolutely agree with Gav, who said, and I'll tell you why I changed my mind, because we had a discussion before, and you slapped my wrist, and you said, you know, you used the wrong word. And because I said in the comments, I said, I don't advocate teaching beginners to pull it all the way back. And I guess that was a bit short-sighted of me. And the reason it was, I guess I made the video number one for it was not for beginners. I should have stated that. It was for everybody. It was for the high grades, to get everyone thinking about it. Because I tell you what, there's not a single thing I did on that video that was technically inaccurate. And I'll say that, like, I'm not full of hubris.
No, I would say it.
But it was technically, but then you taught me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm an extension of you in that respect. But I didn't do a single thing on that video that was technically inaccurate. I can justify everything. However, I did use the wrong, I did comment the wrong thing. And I said, I don't advocate teaching beginners there. And the reason is, I guess it's your fault. It's definitely your fault, because we've always trained Lau. I've always had this perception of the style as we've got to make it work. Okay. So if we're creating, power, but we're incorporating the speed element of it as well. But there are many facets to the style. And when I see styles pulling back like this, and it just gives me flashbacks of Enter the Dragon, and I hate that scene when they're all hey.
Yeah. Well, So I was going to say I absolutely agree, and as you say, I tend to teach that way, and the reason I teach that way is, I mean, you already know, and I've commented many times on this podcast, that I don't like long sets. I don't like watching people do sets that look the same when they do them as when they learnt them.
Right.
There's no development. There's no, there's no possibility of using the technique in the way that they do it when they practice the set.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to learn the set in that way initially. But after a certain point in time, when you're actually doing it yourself, practicing it yourself, not teaching it, but when you're practicing it yourself, it must evolve. And if it doesn't evolve, then you haven't evolved.
You simply have just stagnated in a cycle. And
so for me, it has to work, as you say, it has to work.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Now, an interesting point on it came from Rash's comment, and he was talking about, you're demonstrating short power.
Yeah.
I guess as opposed to long power, I would say, well, does he mean is that long power and that short power? That's fine.
I don't know.
Well, it's hard to. He's not here, but to try and interpret that, I mean, what do we think of short and long power?
Ask a boxer.
Well, right, and see. So when you see a boxer in this stance here, and bam, like that, is that short power? Yeah. I would, if you're going to categorize it.
Yeah, but he doesn't train.
But he doesn't train. He doesn't train back there, does he?
No.
To him, it's just power, right?
So it's that goes back to what you're trying to teach or what you're trying to explain in your video, and what I guess try to teach is that you want it to work, and you want it to work from the off. And I totally agree with the people, with Gav, I think it was, and with Rash, who said that's how you teach beginners. That's how that's how it's done as beginners. That's the traditional way of doing things, and that's absolutely correct. And that's how I would teach a total beginner. But
yes, but how do we define beginners, right?
Exactly. Whenever you see someone, if I can use a simile, because I teach people to drive. When I teach people to drive, they come. Some of them have been driving, for a year or more, and can really control the car. They're brilliant. Other people, they have absolutely no concept of how to turn the wheel. Yeah. And so for them, I would teach them how to turn a wheel. But for the people who can drive, I would just make them work far more advanced. Yeah. In other words, you've got to coach people with what they know and not.
But that's been your sort of your philosophy, your teaching philosophy. You don't, when we categorize people as beginners, I think probably that's wrong. We should be categorizing people. Loose term,
individuals,
fine. Loose term, fine, but it's individuals because everybody is different. Everybody has a different learning curve. Some people pick it up like that. Some people, like you said, have done other martial arts. They've done that. The point is, I've taught a lot of. I haven't taught a beginner in a very long time because everybody who sort of drifted their way.
This is the point about people who advocate traditional teaching and so on, and it's absolutely. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Yeah. The problem is that it's going to be lost on an awful lot of people who already have experience. So they're looking at back in the day when you would have had 30, 40 people in a class. Yeah. And you had everybody starting from the same situation, doing exactly the same thing. And it's only after a while that you start to get individuals that come forward and you can actually spot them in the class and know them well. They're already better. What do you do with them? What can you do with them if you've not got a full-time club? All you can do is keep them in the same class. You can't turn around and say, I'm going to give you a different grade now and go up there. We couldn't. The way that the association worked was very traditional. No, and therefore they had to have a certain time and a certain discipline. Yeah. Because why give someone something that although they technically are capable of it, have not really shown the value of it. Yeah. Or that they value it.
And that's done through time served, right?
Exactly, traditionally. Yeah. And that's why you have people who are teaching traditional and traditionally, and then you have people who are teaching specifically individuals. They're looking for individuals, and that's it's just a different way of teaching. That's all. But
it's not any less traditional. It's just focusing your attention on them a bit more, I guess, as opposed to
if they've got more, you'll give them more. That's the thing. But often, as we've learned in the past, sometimes you can give people stuff. They come along and they already know quite a lot of stuff. You start encouraging that. Next thing they think they're God's gift. Yeah. So that's traditionally, the traditional value stops that but you'll lose people like that, and that's probably good that you lose them, because you can't do anything with them. Their glass is already full. Yeah, right. And so, to that extent, traditional training is a very good, leveler, if you like.
Oh, it's absolutely, but don't forget, we're in 2020. Who's got time for traditional training except for your diehard, and I say diehard, normally they're kind of disillusioned with the whole process of martial art. They end up just doing martial movement.
That's why you've got a lot of people.
I'm traditional. It's like, hang on a second, right? Throw a punch, hit him.
Exactly. And that's why you've got the difference between traditional kung fu, if you like, and karate and taekwondo and so on, in comparison to people who want to do, jiu-jitsu,
MMA,
Thai boxing, MMA,
yeah.
and they're going directly for the jugular. They're going directly because they want to get into the fight.
Yeah, they're thinking about the target, not the journey.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you think about the journey and not the target, you're kind of missing the point. But if you've got to think of both,
That's right. Well, the thing is, people do. Yeah, the trouble is, where do you draw the line? Because a lot of people actually they undervalue traditionalism, traditional training, undervalue it in the sense that there is a benefit to it, where it will teach you total power, etc., etc. But the time it takes as you say, the modern 2020 is, by comparison of competition that you have nowadays, and the commercialism of martial arts and the structure of studios and so on, you're going to lose out. It's like we always said that there's always something. I had a story for people with a guy walking down the street, and he looks down through one door and he sees a guy, an old Chinese guy, teaching beautiful martial arts, very, very structured, very, very static, constant repetition. And then he'll go down the street a little bit further and he'll open a door and he'll see a guy, box, punch, pads, bang, 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 go, go, go.
Yeah.
Join that club.
Of course.
And he'll join that club because he sees the end product.
Yeah.
And he's not prepared to do the work that it would take. So
not the journey. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. No one's going to be able to solve that.
Yeah. I guess, but going back to sort of the video and sort of the contribution I made was, the point was, I think I've always been taught in a sort of, we have to apply. It's we have to constantly think about, what's the goal? You're throwing a punch to do what? To hit someone, So, for me, it's the exercise does obviously have benefits. It's the same as doing a form, isn't it? But you can do a form in the mindset of, practicing that to hit
but then the form will change.
Yeah,
it has to change.
It has to change. But it's evolution. It's
by definition, we are practicing traditionally because we're doing the form to the specs it's required.
Yeah.
But then we've got to break that form down, and then we've got to start using that form. And so, depending on whether you're totally interested in what that form relates to, technically, how good it can be useful for you, or are you just doing it because you love the beauty of martial arts, because you love tradition in itself, or exercise in itself?
But the beauty isn't the whole point of martial arts is martial.
No, not for you and not for me, but for some people, it will be. So there are always going to be martial arts that say, well, I don't advocate fighting. I don't advocate fighting. I want to do it as the art.
Yeah, but the art and the fight are intrinsic. They're one another. They're in symbiosis.
I know that. You know that.
Right,
I'm
but they
saying,
don't know that. Right.
I'm saying to you, they know it, but they don't want it. A lot of people just don't want it.
It's just too hard, right?
Yes, it's hard, and they're not prepared for that kind of confrontation. A lot of people love martial arts just because they love the movies, just because they want to do what they do in the movies. Take a look. People just want to be movie stars. They want to throw themselves around and look beautiful.
Right.
But it doesn't make them fighters. It just makes them look great.
But it's not about being a fighter. We've never said you have to be a good fighter to do Lao Gar.
No,
We've just said you have to understand it, because not every English teacher writes a novel, right? So for me, Lao Gar, this is my opinion, if you're not training it in its martial essence, you ain't training Lao Gar. That's it. And it's like, there will be people out there who don't like that. So, well, I'm doing it for this reason. I'm doing it because of the... It's like, well, no, because you take away something from the style if you don't treat it with the respect or the purpose it was intended for.
But we have to accept that there will be people around there.
Yeah, we do.
And we know people that will never do it
but
martially.
But this is why I say you don't have to be a fighter. Excuse me. You don't have to be the fighter. Well, you don't have to be a fighter to be able to teach fighting. You don't. You just don't.
No.
You have to
you
have
don't.
the
You just don't have to
mindset.
understand it's all about strategy and tactics, I guess.
100%.
There are some generals that are absolutely useless at tactics and strategy. They're very good at wearing medals. They're very good at wearing all the brass. They're very good at marching. But they're absolutely no use.
I've been around a few.
Yeah, planning a battle.
Yeah, I've been around a few. Got lost going around the taxiway on an old abandoned airway. So where are we? Get the maps out. I was like, we're on the taxiway. So, no, but talking about what I said in the comments, because I feel I should just firstly sort of justify that by not justify, apologize for it. It was short-sighted of me. I'm only human. Sometimes I think on Facebook, on YouTube, whatever, you don't have the words. You'd rather have a long-form discussion to get your point across. So sometimes things are lost. What changed, what really hit home for me, because I was of the opinion, just teach them like that. Just teach them from the heart mouth, which is completely legitimate.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not take away from it.
What changed me is when you turn around, you said, well, how do you teach a front kick, James? I said, well, we teach it from the back. You said, why do we teach it from the back? I said, well, it's the longest route. It's the hardest version of that kick to practice your structure, your power. It's about power. It's coming further away. It takes longer to get there. You said, well, exactly. So, yeah, I get it now, right? And it's not that I didn't get it. It's just I didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Associate it with the punches because I've done it like that for ages.
That's right. And it's like teaching a spinning kick. Right. Everyone will advocate one step spinning kick, one step spinning kick.
You don't do it, just spin.
But you won't do it in reality.
No. So but that's the evolution we talk about.
Yeah.
Although it's less obvious evolution because you're still, whether you do a front kick from the front leg or a front kick from the back leg, one's predicated on power, one's predicated on speed.
It's down to I think the whole argument or conversation is down to the basic who you're teaching.
Yeah, I say, and that's what we said before.
And how you prefer, and how you prefer to teach. So
okay,
so a lot of good comments. Yeah, and I think there's a guy, John in America, who is going to put something on there as well for try another comment, try another.
Oh, we'll try. Guys, come on! Why is it us doing the groundwork here? Hey,
yeah, let's
put some vids on yourself. Come on, you lot. I don't know. But but in all fairness,
let's talk about what we do because we all teach. We've just talked about it. We all teach differently.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's someone there that will show absolute beautiful movements and movie style movements and say, this is how I'm able to do this jumping. I mean, look at Scott Atkins, for instance. He's,
great.
Really fantastic the way he throws his legs up and does all sorts of acrobatic kicks and so on. It's kind of almost impossible what people like that do athletically. But if they're fighting a fighter who's simply going to stand there and, he's not going to be there by the time you get your leg up. I often remember in competition where, I had sort of mid-grades or whatever would come up to me in the middle of the fight and then see this guy running and doing jumping flying kicks and spinning back kicks and all this sort of thing. And I'd just say to them, they'd say, oh, how am I going to beat that? I'll say, well, look, he only flies in one direction.
Yeah.
So what they just went, oh, ding, like that. And the guy jumped up, did flying kick. They just moved.
Yeah.
And so just moved around. And then you have people standing there on the mat, sticking the leg out, throwing it out, side kick, side kick, side kick. I said, he's got to put his leg down at some point.
Yeah.
Side kick. So you just move around, side kick, side kick. So put the foot down, bang, got him.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
He gets tired. So it's just the way that you deal with people, but it's tactics and strategy. And a lot of people don't teach tactics and strategy. They're not interested in martial. They're interested in beauty, and that's fine. It looks brilliant. I've watched many people, side of a mat doing beautiful stretches.
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
Getting kicked to shit afterwards.
Yeah, I know. There's something to be said about short and sharp, but God, yeah, no,
it's to everybody to their own, okay, and
but it's not at the same time. See, we're all in it together. We're all studying the style, right? We've got to hit certain marks.
But that's your passion talking.
Is it though, or is it?
Yeah,
like...
it is, because it's mine too. I totally agree with you, but you can't impose your own will.
I'm not imposing will. I'm just
I know
simply
that,
suggesting
but,
if in the syllabus the marks, say for example, are purely sort of physical, right? So you've got to be able to do these sort of physical demonstrations of understanding the syllabus. So that would be a certain mark you've got to hit, and I guarantee you, most everybody can do that. They can step back, block, punch, you know, and do the sets in some degree or another. You know, you don't expect much from people going up to their black, but you do, as the training time progresses, expect a certain level of evolution. You know, and I think then what is the whole point of what we do in Lao? What's the whole point? For me, it's fighting. Was there ever anything else? Not to go out and fight, but to train with that mindset, whether you're going to fight or not, to defend yourself, because that's the whole point. It's a self-defense.
Everybody would like that. They dream of that, but not everybody will work that, and not everybody is capable of that.
I think a lot of it is not everybody are aware of how to teach. Then there's the teachers as well who wouldn't be capable of that, and therefore are not giving that. But like you said, you don't have to be a fighter to teach fighting, but you do have an understanding of it. You do have to have an understanding. Yeah. You know, you got to read I Ching. Well, yeah, there's 5 rings, I Ching, Bloody Sun Tzu, you know.
Yeah.
You do, believe it or not, viewers, Old Man Noobs does know that shit. I know that we don't sound like it.
Yeah. Don't get me talking about Roman spears.
Oh, my God. He's wanks as high as any worm. Oh, so God. No, but, you know, yes. So the point was with that video wasn't to be, you know, controversial. It was to put an opinion out there to get people thinking.
Well, you did it.
I did it. But there are certain forces at work against the Kung Fu podcast who would wish to see us gone. Just know that. You don't know who they are.
There's always going to be people like that. You do. People. They're the ones that put the thumbs.
Oh, I don't know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
They're anonymous. They're anonymous.
Oh, no, I pretty much guess. If they're going to do that, you could at least put a comment.
Yeah, put a comment.
You know,
I don't know.
An opportunity to, you know, answer the comment. That's YouTube for you. And if you don't get that, I've been told many things that I've done, all sorts of stuff, amazing stuff that you know, it kind of makes me so, you know, amazed what I'm allegedly capable of. But you know, such is life.
Oh, we're making it about
anyway.
You now, are we? Talking about
I'm making about me. Yeah, we always talk about me.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't.
It's the whole life is a reminisce.
Yeah. This is therapy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, John will be putting something on, and
well, I'll be putting something on behalf of John.
Yeah. He has asked. Yeah, he's gave it us to do that. So
yeah, so we'll do that.
And then just hopefully people will make more comments and so on, and all in you know, friendly, you know, argument, all in friendly.
It's got to be.
Yeah, discursive, you know, argument.
Yeah.
It's a great way of getting people talking about Lao, and if we can maybe we should just do something completely wrong and throw it on there. You'll get loads of people.
Throw a curveball.
Yeah, you get everybody on there going, "Oh, I do it like this."
That's great.
I do brilliant. A punch like this.
That's brilliant.
And it fools them.
Yeah.
And then people will come back with the argument. Hopefully, at least it'll be talking about Lao.
Yeah,
because that's what we're trying to do.
Apparently, it's been said that my presenting style is too in your face and aggressive. Is it
really?
Apparently,
yeah. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
What does that mean?
I think I'm stuck. I don't know. But apparently it's not good for my... Yeah, I say apparently. The guy who told me this is spot on. But, you know, he was kind of saying that, you know, it doesn't do well for public relations. It makes you seem a bit aggressive and cocky, he says. So, well...
Have you seen the videos on YouTube?
Yeah.
Have you seen them on YouTube?
Yeah.
Smack him in the face. I kick his face.
All right, John. I'll get the elbow in the head, John. Know what I mean? Yeah, that's okay. That's it.
Yeah, doesn't work. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I don't
You know, you sometimes have to compete with that, but, you know, actually be polite at the same time. And just trying to encourage people, you know. I mean, doesn't, I don't know, teachers have their different, you know, ways of teaching, so.
Well,
no, I like it. I think it's great, you know.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I blame you because I think my teaching style is definitely from you.
Well, from you talking now, I mean, even as you're talking now, you know, you're so passionate about what you're applying, you know, in terms of trying to make people understand. I want it, you know, you got to fight, like, you know what I mean? Got to fight. You know, you got to fight. You got to fight. You can't just do it like willy-nilly, like posy. You got to fight.
But yeah.
That's how people will interpret what you've said.
Yeah, but, you know, I do like the beauty. I've always said I love the beauty of Chinese martial arts. So it's like it's wonderfully masculine and feminine, right? And it's just like there's no other, as far as I'm concerned, there's no other art like it. I mean, you can give me,
agree.
Oh, karate is hard and soft. It's like, yeah, but it don't look as good as
that hard and soft is not that hard. Hard and soft. The Chinese don't understand hard and soft.
Yeah, we've discussed this. I know. Yeah. But it's like, you know, I love it. I love to watch it. It just makes sense. It's graceful and you know, deadly. They teach you that in the CIA. They teach you that. But no, I love it.
Yeah.
And
I think as you said, and totally agree. I think the majority of people who do martial arts want to see why they're doing something, how it works.
Yeah. Well,
and obviously it must therefore have a martial application.
Yeah.
There are a very few movements that have simply an exercise or a health application. All martial arts does have a health application because it's exercise in itself, but there are certain exercises that don't have any martial application. But I've always found that when I say things like that, it's kind of like an easy way out.
Yeah, it's a cop out.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what that is for, so it's an exercise.
I'm going to say it's an exercise.
Yeah, so what I try to do is I always try to find out, how could I use it?
Yeah, but
would I use it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, but you're going back to the horse riding stance and punch, like.
Yeah,
it is an exercise. No, I know anything, but we're talking about it anyway. We're talking about you use the horse riding stance in so many variations. You know, Christ, use it all the time. When you think about it,
you can use it, but quite obviously you wouldn't stand in front of one with your legs apart like that and punch. That's not what it's about. It's about the strength you have when you set yourself into a position in relation to your opponent. In other words, if he, for instance, grabs you around the waist, as an example, and you slide your leg behind him and sit,
it becomes a throw. Yeah,
it becomes a throw. Yeah. So, but you've got to have the strength there, because if you don't have the strength and balance, you're going to fall over with him.
Yeah.
So it's about,
putting
your feet.
Yeah. No, but like you said, you refuse to believe that it's just an exercise. But
exactly, you've got to apply it. I got to apply every exercise I can find.
Yeah.
I don't like doing anything that doesn't have an apparent motive, technical motive.
Do you think? I mean, I don't think it's that detracts from teaching the art. But do you think that it could conflict in any way in teaching? Like you said,
no, because it gives you a reason for doing it. It doesn't stop you doing it. It gives you a reason to do it. Right. Because, like you say, it's a cop out in many ways. Not all of them, of course, are cop out, because all of them some of them are genuinely health-based exercises. They're not for, I mean, in the Bok King Kong.
Oh, right, okay.
You're up and then you're turning your hands coming down like so.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to do that and fight?
I don't think so.
No, no do I. Okay. So there you go. You're stretching your spine, and that's great. So there are certain things, but I would then look for how can I make that a thing, and of course you can shorten it, and kind of.
Do some sort of reverse swimming stroke. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you see, but Bonking
Where you
Kong,
find yourself at the time.
but Bonking Kong is a
Bonking
training
Bonking.
form, isn't it? It's what.
Well, it's got a lot of techniques that are useful.
Yeah, I'm not
in
saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's training form. It's like the first form and the second form. It's a training form, isn't it? So, but there is an example of doing a lot of things because they're training forms. There's an example of doing a lot of things that, in the context of the form, might not make that much sense in terms of the order. But in the certain, not that they don't, but individual exercises can be elaborated on. Whereas if you look at the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh form, and the weapons forms as well, everything it's purposeful for the next technique in terms of, you bam, 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 and you can float. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, or am I just?
Yeah, but you again, it's down to the individual to break off from that, depending on what they're seeing it.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying the difference is in training forms versus other forms. Okay, sorry, let me explain, right? So the first form and the second form in Laugar, they are classed as training forms. Number one, because we don't bow.
Yeah,
but number
static.
two, because they're static, right? With the exception of Dawn Sair, which was added, the end movement was added.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a static form.
Yeah.
So you can, with those training forms, you don't have to. I'm not saying you don't have to, but I'm saying they're not as obviously applicable in terms of the techniques don't follow on after the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're repeated with both hands.
Right.
So
right. Exactly. Right. That's my point. Whereas the later forms, are specific. They're in a specific order. Again, some have been added to whatnot, but the point is they become as a whole, as a form following one movement after the other. They actually become more restrictive in terms of the applications you can make from just the form in that order. If you put the individual movements in that form, then you've got unlimited.
Exactly.
Which is what we always say.
Yeah. But, so it's basically a form is a book.
But the first two forms then are like the alphabet, But the third form is like a little passage, And so it makes sense to read it out, but then you can take the individual letters and do something with it.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make perfect sense.
I was just wondering.
To me.
Oh, to you. Everybody else listening is what? Form? What? What they saying? What they saying? Shut up.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, both our listeners. But by the way, guys, we'd like to thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube and all the rest of it. We really appreciate it. And guys, send us in comments. Send us in, your crap, you're great, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. As always, let's just talk about what we know, what we do is now. We're not open to talking about other styles because, let's face it, the similarities in Kung Fu are everywhere. It's just, like we always say, it's the tactics and strategies, isn't it? By which we choose to train. But yeah, thanks so much for subscribing and all the support. And we do appreciate that. What are we going to talk about next then? See, we've gone blank now. We've got nothing to talk about.
I got so much to talk about. Do you know what I mean? It's just so much we could talk about. So many things. I mean, it's a good subject. Teaching is a good subject.
Yeah.
And it's approached by so many people in different ways. And you always get people who want to be teachers, but you get people who are teachers or who want to teach, should I say? Because often you get teachers who just want to be teachers.
Yeah, that's
and then
dangerous.
You get people, and then you just get people who literally, just only want to teach. They don't even want to be teachers. They just, they just can't help themselves. They love to give off information. And, you get that in all walks of life.
What do you think makes a good teacher in martial arts?
You've just got to want the person to succeed. You've got to desperately want the person that you're teaching to succeed, to become, and you also get a buzz from it. You've got to get a high from it. you've got to feel for it. You've got to
You're
know.
talking about well, you're talking individuals, right? Like
Individuals. I'm not talking about teaching in a class is a necessity sometimes, but it isn't teaching, per se. Teaching is teaching each individual.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you have to teach two people at the same time is just financially beneficial.
Yeah.
In the fact that the costs are lower and the I guess the return is better.
Yeah, but it's
that's
also better.
It's never the criteria. It's never the first purpose.
But certainly, big classes to encourage more social diversity in the training. So
yes,
but isn't that funny?
But
though?
you can, yeah.
Because you've got that juxtaposition of a bigger class means people are going to probably learn better at an exponential rate in terms of they've got different people. But at the same time, the knowledge is. Sorry, go on. I was just
gonna. I agree with you, but it's kind of physically impossible to teach, an individual and then another individual, and then in the same night get them all together. And therefore you've got no choice but to teach classes in the way that's necessary in order for them to be diversified socially, because they have to diversify socially. They have to be able to fight or train with different weights and sizes in order to benefit. You can't just, the worst thing in the world is having someone who has a great deal of skill and knowledge who has been training purposely, individually or privately with a great teacher, and then they can't use anything.
Right.
They got no one to train with. And that's, we all know that feeling,
Only at the top, Mr. Newbie.
Well, we have to find people.
No, we do, yeah. But I think, this.
I did have an email from someone here in Kelowna, where and apparently they said that they trained in England before they came here. Been here 5 years, and they were looking for a club, and they heard that I did Lao and so on, and wanted to, and they says, "Oh, the last email I got from it. Oh, who did you train with?" And I just said Yao. That was my only, just put Yao, full stop. That was it.
Not Grandmaster Yao, just Yao.
I just put Yao.
Yeah,
and that was it. So maybe I insulted him, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
from them.
You should
have. I hope I will hear from them.
You should have just put Jezza.
Jezza babe.
Jezza babe. All right.
Yeah.
See, this is why we get in trouble, because
Yeah, but that just shows I love.
Yeah, I don't.
It's a passion.
I met him once, and that's it. So I don't. I can't be commenting. But I've never felt, and this is no disrespect to Master Yao, none at all. And I really mean this, but I've never felt the need ever to go above you. And it's not I suppose on some level it's a respect thing, but it's also from me, it's a confidence in you thing. Because I trust, and because I know you in terms of the martial arts and in other ways as well. But I know that not much gets by old man noobs. And if there's any flies on you, they're paying rent, I tell you. But it's true. It's true. And so I've never, if I've got a question, you always give me an answer. But sometimes you give me multiple answers, etc. So I'm very fortunate like that. But it's certainly no disrespect to Master Yao or anybody else's teaching or knowledge that they've acquired doing Lao. But I'm very sort of insular in the way I've trained. I've trained with you.
I'm going to support you in that, in what you've just said. I'm going to support you in it.
Yeah, well, of course you would.
But let me just say, and this is no disrespect to anyone either, but I can see where you're coming from in the sense that, and I'm not going to blow my own trumpet or anything like that. I just love teaching.
Yeah.
And so one time that we were at a Black Sash workshop, and all the Scottish guys came over to me at the end and said, I don't know why we're here. And that's no disrespect to the tuition they had. It's just that that's what they said. I'm just relaying what they said. They just all come over as a group, in actual fact, and they said, I don't know what we're here. We've learned all this from you before we came.
Oh, really?
Have I said that?
Yeah, you've said that before.
Oh,
Loads of times.
Then
it must be true.
It must be true.
Yeah,
So,
but sorry to take away from your moment there.
No, I was only trying to support you there, James, and you just threw it back at me.
Yeah, well, no one likes.
I'm going to do it again. No one likes it. What?
No, nothing. No, but like, I mean, I'm a very, very right, and this is what I don't get about me. I'm a very traditional person, in the sense of the way I learn and show respect to my teachers, right? Yeah, we've had arguments now and then and tiffs, but in terms of the way I've always tried to contribute to the classes and to you and to learning, etc. I'm quite humble. I know I don't come across it, but I am. And I
can't say I am anymore, can I?
No,
I've
you
just said
can't.
that.
No, yeah, but you reached the point where you're like, you don't give a shit anymore.
That's true.
But you know, we've discussed why, you know, and it's just like, yeah, but you know, that's your issues. I'm fine. I've you know, but yeah, no, I think I'm very traditional, which is funny because I'm the least. How do you define traditional, right? For me, it's the mentality. It's the mentality and the respect you show to your teachers, and you show respect where respect is shown. And it was, you know, and that's the way that I think we've always operated. But I've always known my place, and that is respect. So, some people, they simply have not shown you respect, and that's where, you know, the you know, where we sort of do a lot of bitching, isn't it? Because these people we know.
Yeah, but there's a result of that, isn't there? There's always a result, and people get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, based on people's greed and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand. I can see that.
Yeah, but I also think it's like you see a lot of students, you know, and across you know places, you know, BKFA for example, who, you know, are very sort of, you know, they could be, you know, a bit of an ego. You know, they want to be, you know, they want to be next to Master Yao and with the big wigs.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
you know,
see that all the time.
But yeah, but you do. And see, this is what defines me. I'm quite proud of the fact that I was never like that. And it's not because I never respected it, and I don't respect those people. You know, fine, do what you want, go and train.
It was always a problem for me as well because I never wanted. I'd barely speak to him, and that's not because I didn't respect him or that I loved him or that I appreciated everything. It's just that I didn't like to be seen like a brown-nosed sod. Yeah. And I've seen too many people right up his arse. Oh, you know, right up, not just his arse, but everybody's. You know, people trying to be, you know, put themselves into a position where, oh, you know, I'm this, I'm that, and then do this and do that, and try to do all the jobs and that, and you just think, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
For God's sake, I don't like people like that, or at least I don't like that kind of attitude, if you want.
But some of the nicest people, though, will still have that in them. And it's just like, how can you be such a decent person or whatever, but then you do little things. You don't give credit where credit's due, or you take this and this, that, and the other. You know?
Yeah.
And,
because they want to be in that. It's not that they respect the person. They want to be that person.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. What's wrong with being yourself?
Exactly.
It's always been and that's put me in a lot of trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
Just wanting to be myself. So I take the P. Yeah. I'm a bit sarcastic, and people, they don't like it. They don't like me being myself. You know, and here I am talking about myself again. So.
but But we're using it as an example, like of the psychology, I suppose, of people, and it's not just about teachers, right? It's about students as well. You've got to be a good student, you know. You've got to be a good teacher, you know. And some, you know,
the worst thing I hate about some students, okay, the worst kind of student to have is the student that is in the class, gets to a certain stage, and you're teaching the class, and next you turn the corner, you turn around. And the next thing you know, that guy's teaching
doing
someone
something
else.
different.
Doing something different and teaching someone that he doesn't even know.
What are you doing? It's like...
he ain't got a clue and he's teaching them all wrong. You see they're doing it wrong. And then you say, what are you doing? Go teach, go train what you were told to train. Go practice, you know, with the people you were supposed to practice with. Don't just walk over to a beginner and start helping them when you ain't got a clue what you're talking about. It's you know, just waiting to be told. It's an honor. It's an encouragement to be saying, I'd like you to show that person this. Don't just walk over and go, oh, this, you know, I know this, so I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you if you know it. You know, and that's by giving you that, you know, perception, that understanding about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's humbling, and it still happens to me. All, you know, and it did. You know, you slapped me down the other day. You cut me deep, Shrek.
What was that for?
When we had our tiff.
Well, because you kept on going that bloody circular argument about the punch.
Yeah. But then I had the wisdom to say, Mr. Newby, you're right.
You also had the recording.
That's true.
So,
but it wouldn't.
Did you listen to it?
No.
Well, you should listen to it.
I will listen to it. What for?
Because it's.
I get it. I was wrong. That's what do you want me to say? I get it now. You know. Yeah.
No, I don't want you to say anything. I want you to learn something.
Okay.
Just listen to it.
All right.
And it's not because I want you to hear it and say, oh, I was wrong. I want you to hear it.
Oh.
I want you to hear it so that you can learn from yourself.
I was there. I know what I was saying.
Doesn't mean to say, no. If you knew what you were saying, you would have said you were humbled then, not after. If you knew what you were saying.
I was humbled because you humbled me.
No, but
then during, I was humbled because you humbled me during, not after. I didn't think I was humbled after. I was humbled during because you educated me. So I learned then and there. But if you want me to listen to it again, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it. It's interesting.
It was funny, but again, you know, but no matter how good you think. And here's the thing, right? I always like the old, you know, you start thinking you're chocolate, you'll eat yourself, right?
Yeah.
And we're all guilty of it.
Absolutely.
And it's just age and wisdom.
And that's why it's so important. We need people to teach us.
Right. You know, and age and wisdom just gives you that bit more of a barrier before you step in it, you know. And
it's the silver wrapper,
right? Yeah, like a Twix, but
ruin your feelings.
Yeah, but you know, but there's too many people out there who want to be masters quick, and this is it. Yeah. I've never ever, because I'm not. People want to call me seafood. People want to call me this, that. I said no, I'm not, because I don't believe. I'm that traditional. I don't believe in being called that. And there are people out there who are shit, as far as I'm concerned, and being called bigger things. You know, so F you, you know? It's like, man, that's just disgusting. Have some humility, you know?
Yeah.
And I know it's not very humble the way I talk, but at the end of the day, it's our forum, isn't it? You know, we're talking
again. You're just being honest, just the same. As, you know,
and people don't like it.
That's the thing about exactly. I just said that earlier. It's just that's the thing. No one likes you speaking your mind, and but I think it's important too, because if you don't, you can't learn.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not honest, you can't learn. You've just got to state the facts, and that's it. Otherwise, you know, you can't keep on being politically correct. You have to be a politician. A politician is not politically correct, even though it sounds like they should be. You know, they're not. They say it how it is, and that's it. So I hope that makes sense.
Well,
so it's just we're talking about teaching, but just waffling on as we do.
But
I did mention that.
don't mention John again. You
Communication.
Oh yeah, the loud girl.
Yeah. So just waiting on that.
Yeah.
Other than that, Cup. I've had 4 passes out of 5.
Oh great! So we're
test.
talking about
That's
driving
this week.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well done.
No, I'm just talking about teaching.
Oh right. Oh okay. I was sorry.
Teaching what they need.
Yeah.
Teach them what they need. Teach them what they need to know.
Right. So this is a short one today. We kind of did this because the long and short of it was we spent 2 hours last week doing what was supposed to be this podcast, but we ended up, because of me, going round and round in circles. So we'll do this one now, and it's slightly shorter than what it normally is, but we were talking about, we had some stuff to talk about. There will be much more show prep for next time, guys, when you join us on another fascinating, rambling, episode of the Kung Fu Podcast. So,
and in the meantime, if you don't want to join us, get on that bloody loud thing.
Blogspot and talk some loud, for God's sake. God's sake, talk some loud.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
It's not us you're asking questions about. It's
the style.
Master Yao, you're asking John
Yes.
Russell, you're asking...
We can all contribute.
Guardians, you're asking fighters, competitors.
Well, you would be asking the Guardians if they bothered to, comment.
Yeah. Well, we need people to comment. We need.
Come on, Guardians. Come on. Do some commenting. Yeah. So anyway, just.
I've also been told I'm not in the BKFA apparently.
Oh, hang on. You are in the BKFA.
Well,
that is a fact.
I've never left.
That is a fact. You never left. You just moved to Canada. How many miles away?
I'm going to miss a class.
Yeah, is he going to miss a class or 2?
Yeah, I didn't join that. I would have liked to have joined that Zoom and stuff, but it looked like it was well.
Well, were you asked? You were asked, right?
It's not that, James. It's not 8 hours. I'm 8 hours behind you.
Yeah, believe me, I know.
I would have had to be.
I can do it at 8 p.m. my time. It's like, well, hang on. So how many times have I found myself for it? Anyway.
In the morning, yeah.
But I do that because, because I'm humble to you, Mr. Newbie.
No, it's because I can't.
You can't be...
Because I'm going to work.
Yeah, I know. But listen, guys, thank you so much for all your support. Thanks for the likes, the comments. By all means, go on our Facebook, give us a like, follow us, all the rest of it. We're still in this COVID zone at the moment. So, in terms of social media, there's not really much to say, is there? I mean, so it's a bit, what I'm trying to say is everything's a bit slow. And it's looking like we might possibly go into a second lockdown here as well. So as soon as I open my class again, which is now up and running, might be another lockdown. So I don't know. Yeah. But there's plenty to be getting on with, guys. That's the point. Unlike some of my students who spent 6 months doing the square root of all, and they come back straight away, put on their sashes, and then they can't do this or can't do that. I'm just like that. What are you doing, man? Come on. So they know who they are. They've been told. But yeah, guys, got to work for it. Thank you so much, Mr. Noobs, and I'll see you soon. Guys, thanks for joining us on episode 32 of the Kung Fu Podcast. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Okay, guys, so a bit of an off-the-cuff segue here, but as ever, we're being professional. Got to be professional. What happened was we finished recording the podcast, then Steve phoned his long-term student friend, John, from America. We all had a chat. Next thing I know, Steve is saying to John, come on the podcast, have a chat. So he was ambushed by him a bit, but we had a nice little chat, and we hope to do it again soon. Anyway, here we are. Here's John from the USA.
You can stick it on record, and then we just carry on the conversation. So anyway, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's smart. Good.
Right.
Just doing the butterfly knives with him, and both my handles have come up.
Oh,
shoddy workmanship, that Jim Cairns, eh? Shoddy. Jim, you should be ashamed. Your durability testing for him. Steve, do you want to introduce our guest?
Well, you tell us how we should introduce you, why don't you? And then we can just edit this off.
Yeah, I'd just say like one of your students from back in the 90s in Scotland when you're starting at clubs and
I was doing Scotland, yeah, okay.
moved to
What about all your qualifications? Because I don't know them, so you've got to...
I don't really have any. I mean, I pick up heavy things, I put them back down again. And
Huh?
I pick up heavy things and put them back down.
You pick up heavy things and put them back down. That's what you do, is it?
Yeah, well, used to. I'm retiring, but I got 4 strongman championship wins and some national records and world records.
In the USA.
That's great.
National in the USA, yeah.
And what about the...
So if it's in the USA, isn't it like a world title then? Because it's in the USA.
Right. Well, actually, we have a world... there's a world organization which is actually located in the UK. That's IAWA.
Right.
So whenever we do a competition and we have 2 or 3 judges, those lifts could be counted as world records if we beat the world record.
All right.
Okay.
But if we don't have enough judges, if we only have 1, then it's a national record.
Got it.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, that's great.
We had a video of you earlier. We had a video.
Steve, before we go on, you've not introduced our guest. Like,
Have I got to put... Yeah.
You've got to say our guest's name.
Okay.
Because otherwise, it doesn't look, it's just like we're going straight into it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I'd like to introduce... I'll start that again. I'd like to introduce one of my long-time students and good friend from the USA, Mr. John Strangeway.
Yoo-hoo!
Well,
Hi, John.
Yeah.
from Scotland, but living in the USA.
Yeah, okay.
That
moved to the
pride
USA.
has not left you.
Did you move 1993?
Sorry?
Did you move 1993, was it that you moved?
Nope, 99.
99. Oh, okay.
Started Loughgar in 93.
Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't go to Scotland till then, did I? 1993.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I started in Scotland, yeah.
Why is it that you still sound Scottish, but Sheena Easton sounds like she's from Texas?
That's weird because I don't think I sound Scottish anymore.
You do.
I feel like I'm losing it.
Yeah, there's like twinges of like it's Scottish, but it's weird.
Yeah, so I've been here like 20 years, so I'm like, I hope it doesn't go away.
Oh, genius.
And now you're a citizen now?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have to pay for citizenship?
You do.
Yeah. Jackie was telling me yesterday, she said, you've got to pay for your citizenship. I'm going, what?
Yeah.
What a con.
Well, it's that, or you can keep renewing your permanent residency, which you pay for too. So
yeah.
if you're going to stay, you may as well get a citizenship, so you're just paying once and that's it. There's actually a guy at work from England, but he's been here since he's a kid, and he's still a permanent resident. So every few years he has to go renew and pay.
Who's this?
Yeah.
A guy at work.
That's like my mother-in-law. That's like what my mother-in-law has to do. She has to every 4 years the visa she has to renew it.
Right. Where's she at?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So
that's where we were going to go for the World Championships, but then COVID happened, and
oh, I know the world came to a standstill. John, you're unique because after you moved to America, you still pursued Loughgar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long you waited before you got in contact with Steve again. How long was it?
Gosh, I want to say close to 10 years.
Right.
I think it was. I think Tom in Scotland got an email from you, didn't know who you was, so he just dumped the email.
I forgot. Right.
And it wasn't until I got an email direct, I think, or he told me or something. I don't know where I got your email from. Maybe you contacted me. And then
This was back in the day when, before the big social media boom, and it was really hard to find people online unless you came across a basic web page someone had made, and then you can get their email or contact. But other than that, it was like, Yellow Pages era.
Yeah.
And then you invited me over, and I came over to America and stayed with you for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And we went through all the syllabus again.
What grade were you at this point, John?
I left when I was brown such.
Yeah, it was a bit.
So I'd learned first degree, but I never graded in it, and it was very elementary stuff I knew of it. Like I had a lot of mistakes in Baptijern, and I tried to train constantly what I learned so I wouldn't forget it.
Yeah,
and I didn't like that was the hardest set because I didn't fully know it well before I left.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of holes in that. And I think maybe we first met when you were on vacation in Florida.
That's right. Yeah, I came to Florida for a holiday.
Yeah.
And you flew 1,000 miles to come and train in the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh,
we went
Jesus, I can't even get people to travel 30 miles to train. Honest to Christ.
And we went to Home Depot and bought some piping.
Yeah.
So we could do Deutsch chat and stuff.
Yeah. But I think we sawed the pipe in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And then
yeah. And we were doing it in and then we did it on the driveway.
So So John, what question? Why Steve, right? Why go back to him? You're in America, you're surrounded. It's a lot easier to just nip down the road, is it, and find a dojo somewhere else. What was it about Steve and Laugar that sort of...
Well, I did have a head start in Laugar, so, I didn't want to, lose what I learned. And what I saw of Laugar, I knew it was a legitimate art, the way it was taught and everything. It was... You could tell it was good and made sense. The schools locally weren't what I wanted. There was a lot of pokey instructors.
Right.
You see them online. There was two close by like that. They kind of put me off looking.
Yeah.
There was one guy demonstrated pressure points on his student, and his student was flopping around like a fish. And out of curiosity, I was like, can you try that on me? Not being an ass, but just being, well, if you can do that, I'd, like to see it and feel it. And he just was like, no, it's too dangerous, or we'd have to have you insured. And I'm like, okay,
What?
Then there was one guy, and we were talking on the phone and talking about chi, and then he started talking about how you can't walk your dog with a leash because it'll steal your chi through the leash and stuff. And I was like, okay. And stuff like that. It's like if you're a master or claim to be, that's not how it works. You know better. So then I ended up going to a jiu-jitsu and judo class, which was really good.
Yeah.
I did that for a couple of years, but as far as Kung Fu, no. So I just kept training what I knew, and I think it was 2009, I finally got hold of Steve, and he, unselfishly helped me and, gave me all the advice and fixed a lot of my issues as far as techniques go and things I was doing wrong. And then he started teaching me more, and then we met up, and I think we've met up 3 times. So just trying to make it work, basically.
Yeah. And you took your first degree online, wasn't it, essentially?
I believe this was in 2010. I think Steve checked to see if it was okay. Yeah. And then Steve filmed everything, and I guess he took that to the board or whoever, and they approved.
Yeah.
So it was Master Yao that effectively looked at your stuff, yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're legitimate.
Oh, good.
You're legitimate.
You're the only one that's done it online ever. Another first for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's
And,
nice. It's nice to be joined by a black sash, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it makes a change, doesn't it? Yeah.
Who do you normally have?
I can't get the help nowadays. You know. Sorry, go on.
And then you helped me get my second degree, same process.
We did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was hard work because, you know, obviously Steve, he makes you do everything right.
Yeah.
lots of drilling and you know, doing the best of your ability and making sure you do it right. And, which I appreciate, you know. And,
yeah, despite the flies and the heat.
All the heat.
Yeah.
It was hot in that.
It was terrible.
So what's your particular sort of favorite part of studying the Kung Fu? Is it maybe weapons, heavy weapons, or, I mean, where do you sort of gravitate towards in the style? What do you feel most comfortable doing?
That changes all the time. Like, I'll get into the weapons and then I'll go back to the empty stuff. It's just because of the principles and methods you can see blend throughout, and it kind of steers me. I'll like do something with a sword or like the fork, and then I'll have an idea of that footwork or movement pattern where it's similar, and then I end up training one of the handsets a little bit more, looking at it from a different light, and vice versa. And it's what I enjoy is if you look hard, you're always learning something and noticing something. And at first, when you look at it, you think it's like this big style with all these moves, and how do I remember all this? And then when you start chipping away, you realize there's not as much as you think. Once you start understanding and seeing the similarities, it's just different ways of doing things and
for different reasons.
So it ends up not being as much as you thought, and you're starting to see the similarities. And that's the part I'm enjoying. It's like, you know, I don't know how to explain it really.
But that's why you can keep on training. That's why you can keep your enthusiasm, because there's always going to be something new that you discover that is actually old, but you just didn't know you knew it.
Right, and it's like you'll do something, and then you'll see it in Kebun Salfa, which is like one of the best sets. Like if you can keep training Kebun Salfa, you can keep learning stuff. I mean, and you'll just learn different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
That's our first set for anybody listening abroad, and it's perhaps on the surface, like you said, the most simplest, but it's also the deepest. And you know, I believe it's the deepest. We've discussed this, haven't we?
I agree.
But there's so much to it.
I think it's as simple or as complex as you want it to be.
So because all the other sets are, because they have angles, because they have steps, then they're specific in what you do, because you're applying them with a specific step and direction, and so they then become specific. Whereas the first set kind of, James described it earlier as being like a ABC in the first couple of sets, and then after that, they're like, you know, little words, paragraphs or whatever, chapters that you can then like take apart to make new sentences, you know, but you have got to learn them. And I think what the problem is with a lot of people, they learn them and then they only ever train them in exactly the same way as they learnt them, so they don't gain the fluidity inside and the little movements that could work. In other words, they do them with much bigger movements and don't kind of, I don't know, what would you call it? Just, I don't know, make them real.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part, and it was for me at first, to, like, you're training something and you need something to train, and also naming, and like naming something a block. It's not really a block, but you need to give it a name to refer to, and like the moves, you need to be able to see them really clearly to learn them. But when you use them, it's tighter and smaller and doesn't look exactly like it, but the idea of it's the same. And that's it. I think one of the hard part for people to understand is, well, why didn't you show me that way first? And you try and tell me you wouldn't have got the little movements and
Yeah.
the nuances of it. If I showed you that, you wouldn't see them. So I have to show you bigger.
Well, it's like learning ABC.
Yeah. And I think that's a hard.
They can't write until they learn the alphabet.
Right.
So.
And they have to write it big.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the fine motor skills to do little letters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I use that. Is it called an simile? All the time.
Like an analogy. Yeah, I think that's a really good one.
Yeah.
It's a really good analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I use it all the time.
What you're doing. You're learning alphabet, then you're learning words, then you're learning how to put words together to make sense. And then...
Oh, I sent you my book, and it's in the book as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've added a lot to it since I last saw that.
Yeah. It's going to be good when that comes out.
Yeah, we've got to get some pictures. If you wanted something to do, John, take some good pictures. We took a load of pictures while I was at John's, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
The trouble is, I think we had a problem with the background, because...
Yeah, it wasn't a good background.
Yeah, because it's trees and stuff like that, and it probably wouldn't go so well.
Yeah.
But,
so, John, you started back in Scotland. Whenabouts did you start?
93.
What year? 93 was it, right? And who was originally teaching you in 93? Because was it Steve?
Yeah,
from the start.
Yep.
Good. So what's your thoughts on his teaching style? From someone other than me, what do you think? Obviously, it's going to be favourable, but have you seen many other teachers? And can you comment on that?
Yeah, it will be favourable, or else I wouldn't be still talking to it. Yeah,
I can switch off.
Or recall my email.
Yeah.
You can tell that he appreciates everything and wants to teach people it. He's not teaching for money, because he could teach just basic stuff. He goes into a lot of detail when you're ready, and he explains. It's not one of those, you do this because this is the way it's done. He actually will show you and explain why and how and what, especially when you try and do it back, when you're showing him exactly why it won't work the way you're doing it. So it's exactly what a teacher should be, really.
Yeah.
There you go, James. Eat your heart out.
What do you mean? What? What have I done now?
Hey, I should have like 100 people on this podcast, shouldn't I, really?
Well, it's sometimes it's few and far between to find an instructor that not only like legitimately knows his art deeply, but wants to teach it. I mean, Steve taught me for when I was over here basically for free. When he came over to visit, I paid for the flight and his board and everything. But he
What do you mean bored? I slept in your garage.
You got a blow-up mattress. You may have let it go flat, but you did have a mattress.
You gave a mattress? What?
Yeah.
No, he gave me an airbed which went down in the night. I woke up and there was a bloody big jumping spider right next to me face.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's funny.
I went, oh, that's a spy bunk gone.
Yeah. Honestly, God. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
His friend took me to a gun club.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I've heard that.
And also he let me go in a truck for the day as well. I went in, didn't I, where you worked?
Yeah.
So I went on in a semi around, to learn how they did it as well.
Yeah.
That was my first American semi.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that was done.
And then since then I've took the license and I've been driving them.
Yeah.
And now I'm driving instructor. So.
Yeah. So, what in terms of training your Lao in Missouri, where you are now, John? Are you taking students? Are you teaching people? How's it working with you at the moment?
I was for a while, and I was just doing it out of the garage. I looked to get in places to, random places, but it's so expensive.
Yeah.
And yes, I've just been doing it out of my garage.
Yeah. Well, it's a big garage, though. To be fair,
it is.
It's quite helpful.
It's huge.
Do you want to? Can you point the camera around to show people?
No, not the way I've got it set up.
Right. Okay. He's got so
much
weight training equipment and the gym and the ball bar.
Yeah, I mean, so John, you do a lot of like competitive lifting and all that. So what's the like? So we always say that Laugar is sort of predicated on speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of power to lift your weights and your trucks and pull your trucks and stuff. How does that sort of merge in with the Lau? Like you're doing one thing that's entirely sort of power-based and masculine and stuff like that. And when you look at the Kung Fu, it has elements of both in. How do you find the juxtaposition of the two sort of things you enjoy doing?
Sometimes it's hard, but it depends what my focus is at the time. So kind of like cycle.
Right.
When I get into competitions, obviously the weightlifting takes the forefront.
Yeah.
Like I'll use maybe some of the sets to warm up.
Yeah.
And stuff like that for the weight, so I can fit my training in because I'm doing more weightlifting workouts and don't have time for more Lau workouts, and vice versa. If I'm wanting to get into something like learning a new weapon or going over something, or Steve gives me some advice on something, and no competitions are coming up, I'll like lift weights to maintain and then focus on Lau training more. And I think it works well because Lau has a lot of moving in that you're stretching things and you're being relaxed a lot before, so you've got a mix of relaxation and tension, whereas weights, it makes you quite tight. So it works well that way.
Well, they were talking on the blog spot about the horse dance, because James put something in about horse dance and punches. And to try to encourage people to talk about, Laugar, because it's always about wushu and stuff like that. So try to encourage the Laugar blog spot to actually talk about Laugar. So he put something in about the horse dance, and then some of the comments were like, you've got to at least be able to train a horse dance for a minute. And I sent a message saying, you video with 27 minutes in the horse dance.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah. And did you expect me to watch that video?
Yes, I did. The amount of effort I put into that's the least expected.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And I expected you to do your own video trying to beat my time.
John, I know you feel, right? When I was in Afghanistan, on the front line, no less, I wrote a thesis on martial art, on Laugar. First thing I did when I got back is I sent Steve an email and he said, please read it. And it became apparent that he just went, I was like, you did. You wouldn't read it.
I've still got it.
You haven't got it. Well, it's changed since then, but it was the effort. I was like, what?
What are we going to do with him?
I don't know. He's an old fossil, but we love him. I don't know.
You don't realise I got 4 kids that are in their 20s and they're still living with me. I got to deal with it. I've been out for a few-hour walk in the forest today. I was telling him. Yeah. So we went up into the woods and just walked.
Shut up. We've heard this. Right, hang on. I want to ask John something, right?
I got to do things to the kids.
Hang on. So, John, right, you were, 1993 when you started was this sort of the beginning of the Scottish invasion, Steve? Was it like...
I think it was, yeah.
It was it? So, John, you were around in that time where Steve built up Scotland along with, a lot of people's help, and the Scottish contingent, to be fair, was actually a very formidable group of, practitioners, weren't they? The good fighting, technically good and all the rest of it. What was it like to be sort of in the midst of all that, and
It was very interesting. For the most part, like in those towns, I was from Hawick in the Scottish borders, karate kind of took over, and there was lots of karate clubs. I was actually doing karate at the time when Laugar moved in next door in the gym adjacent, and I trained both for a while, and then I just fell in love.
You never told me that.
I'm sure I did. It was probably at the bottom of an email you didn't read.
Yeah, probably. Oh, dear God. Dear God.
Yeah, so, I was doing Wado-Ru, and then I joined in with the Laugar, and I was like, this is good. I like it. I saw the posters everywhere. I think it was yellow Kung Fu, and then the blue background with Yao with maybe the tiger fork or something.
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah.
With a Chinese font Kung Fu, and then Steve was there teaching, and it was great. And then I ended up.
What do you think it was like? It's right for me, right? And you're Scottish, I'm not. So you tell me if I'm barking up the wrong tree. Is it because all Scots are like clan, like want to be in the clan, and they're all like kind of violent and shit? Is that why? Is that why they were so good at like the competitions and the fighting and getting psyched up for it, etc.? What is it about Scottish people? They just want to scrap. I don't know.
Yeah, probably because of the English.
Yeah.
Cool.
I know.
What's it?
When I first went up there and I stood in front of the class and I says to them, this is a great place, the biggest county in England. They, I don't know how they took it.
Probably not well.
It was good fun.
Yeah.
Riled them up.
Yeah. That was great. It's great. We're gonna have to finish up here because I've got warning saying your time's nearly up because we're on a three-way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, first time using Zoom.
Yeah,
it's first with the picture jumping when you guys talk, but finally
it's a lot better now, isn't it? A lot better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, you give us an insight into being alone and training, and then
we'll have to do another talking more about it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it. We'll do it again.
Well, I really want to do that because you write a lot of what's the word? Essays. On your training and it's really, really good. I've read some. That Steve's forwarded them on to me, and they're a good read. I've got one in my introductory pack that I printed off because I thought it was really good, and some people read that.
Which one was that?
Oh God, I can't remember now. God, where is it? I think it's about sort of the way we analyze forms and for beginners. Just the multifaceted. It was really good though, really good. So there's a lot to talk about with you, John, because you've really. I think maybe it's because you've been sort of a lone crusader,
isolated.
You've had a lot of time to think.
But it's also a benefit too. I've learned a lot that I wouldn't have learned if I'd been attending classes. But vice versa, I've missed a lot not attending classes that I would have. What I mean?
Yeah.
So it's good and bad, but I think I've learned in a different way, and it's made me think and analyze more than a regular student would.
Yeah. Oh well, that's great. Thanks so much for just popping on for a wee chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll do it again, and it's really nice to meet you. And
nice to meet you too. Heard so much about you from Steve.
Yeah,
been watching some of your podcasts.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, great.
That's one of the fans.
It's you,
Eddie.
He's the fan we've been looking for all this time.
Yeah. That's it. Anyway, John, just remains for me to say thank you and goodbye, and see you soon.
Yeah.
And,
take care.
Take care. See you now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Kung concentrate on your enemy's weak points. The eyes, the throat, the knackers.
Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Kung Fu Podcast. If you like that and you want to find out more about us, you can head over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or YouTube and find us under SJN Martial Arts. And also guys, this podcast is available on Podbean and iTunes. So until next time, take care of yourselves and we'll see you again on the Kung Fu Podcast.
Karate punch is like an iron bar, whack. A kung fu punch is like an iron chain with an iron ball attached to the end and it go whang.
Can you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by tree.
I was about to sit down to eat the nation's favourite dish, chicken tikka masala, and then you phoned.
Oh well, you can eat it while we're talking.
No. There is no. I didn't get round to preparing it.
Oh.
So I feel like an IRA prisoner right now, bloody starving. Right, we gotta go.
I just wondered if you finished that song yet.
Which one?
The Queen song.
No, I haven't. No, because I was in a bad mood. I'll get back to it. I had to go away and re-examine my life. I was like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, this is no more death sticks. No more death sticks. You will go away and reevaluate your life. I will go away and reevaluate. That's it. But what do you want me to do? Do you want me to try and finish it?
Yeah, sounded good.
Okay.
You know, a health fruit drink.
Are you trying to tell you something?
No, she's a Filipino and she's
they're hospitable. I love Filipinos.
Is.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I went round to do a plumbing job around a Filipino's house, and the only thing they said was, "Make sure you take your shoes off."
Yeah.
And so I did. But once I took my shoes off, they were like, "Do you want food? Do you want snacks? Do you want this, that?" And they kept. I was like, "No, I'm just trying to, unscrew your tap." It's like, "Do you want anything? Do you want anything?" They were brilliant. I love Filipinos. Yeah. Filipinos, some of do you know what their national sport is?
No.
Practical pistol shooting.
Is it?
Yeah. Some of the best pistol shooters come from Philippines. They love it. Obviously, at the moment, it's a bit of a rocky, like with that Duterte, who's like going out, like the president, killing all the drug dealers and shit like that. But Filipinos, on the whole, are really nice. There's always some, right, on our videos on YouTube, automatically give us a downward thumb. And
of course.
I was like, man, you must be so bored, like, with your life. Because the last thing I do is troll videos and to put downward thumbs. Like, you know, you can't be bothered. It's like, if you're going to write a downward thumb, then write a comment and say why. But you can't. Do you know what I mean? None of them can.
Well,
piss off.
They're always welcome to their opinion.
I'm not saying they're not welcome to their opinion.
Maybe we should talk about that.
I'm just saying a downward thumb, is a pretty sketchy opinion, isn't it? Like, it's a cop out. It's an anonymous thing, isn't it?
But that's YouTube for you, isn't it? They've allowed people to do that. They've allowed people to talk about each other and, talk each other.
Yeah, at least, we
can all do it.
We can all do it, but, just have a bit of class, for God's sake. It genuinely doesn't bother me.
I've never put a down thumb on anyone else's.
No, nor have I.
Anyone else's videos.
Never.
I've commented on them.
Yeah.
But I've never put a thumb on them.
I tell a lie. I've put one downward thumb, and that was on my video, because I thought if they're doing it, I might as well join in.